Hello, this is Steve Ramona, your host for Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I want to thank our sponsors, Infone, and with Infone, you can place your business on everybody's cell phone, turn their business into a web app, and with a click of a button, they'll have access to you 24/7. And also Pantheon.fm. Have you ever thought about monetizing and taking your podcast to the next level? Well, Pantheon can do that. Let us show you how. Reach out to Steve Ramona, the host, at infone.co/SR1, and I will go over with you how you can make your podcast really stand out. Let's enjoy the show. Thanks again, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. This is your host, Steve Ramona. And I'm excited about my guest. You all know this is my 183rd show, but my nonprofits are my heart and soul because I'm so philanthropic, which is why I started this. And I really want to help this nonprofit because it's local to me. And I met her this week and she's doing incredible things for people, but she needs a little bit of help. And I want you out there to listen and learn what she's doing. And let's give her some help and some love. Tatiana, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve. It's such a pleasure to be here.
No, this is great. I love your name. I could say your name a million times, Tatiana, but we won't. Let's get into your nonprofit, Sunday Friends Foundation.
Yes.
What is your mission for this nonprofit?
So our organization primarily works to lift people out of poverty. We have a primarily Latino population that we serve. About 97% of our 1,000+ members are Latino, and about 3% are Vietnamese. And the work that we do is to empower families with education, with poverty alleviation work, and with opportunities for upward mobility from poverty with economic empowerment.
What's powerful about that is poverty's everywhere.
Yes.
You know, like mental health, it's the buzzword, homeless, people with poverty that need help. Why are you doing it?
Well, and I mean, we talk about poverty, but really for us, it's about health equity. And as a Latina, which is one of the reasons that I decided to join Sunday Friends, because it was an opportunity for me in my 20+ career in nonprofits to actually work with a community that was primarily Latino, so that I could feel like I was helping my own people in some way. There's so much injustice in the world when we talk about in the United States of like, oh, hey, let's, you can lift yourself up by your own bootstraps. It's not really like that. There's a lot of things that make it very difficult for people to be able to exit poverty. They need support. Especially a lot of our families are immigrant families who need to learn the culture, need to learn how to navigate a new place. They came from extreme poverty wherever they're at to what poverty in the United States. So we have to help them navigate our systems here. And so for me, I do this work because I want to see every single family in the United States and every single family in the Bay Area specifically be able to live in dignity, and to be able to have access to the things that are really meaningful and to the things that are going to help them be successful in their own lives without having to struggle. I mean, most of our families are working full-time jobs, multiple jobs, and still not able to make ends meet. No one should have to do that. You shouldn't be working 80 hours a week and still not being able to put food on the table, really. And one of the things that really made me feel like Sunday Friends was such a great place was that these families, they end up working all this time and doing all these things. And then they come to Sunday Friends on a Sunday, which is why we're called Sunday Friends, is because we have friendly activities on Sundays. And that is their time to, just be with friends, be with the community. And yes, they learn while they're with us. And we're, part of what we do is impart everybody with provide education that's going to help them level up and be in a space where they can have access to resources. But a lot of our families are just coming to us because we're providing a nice Sunday for their family. So a family at Sunday Friends, and I use this term like it's very Latino-y, because it's like it's not just like mom and kids or mom and dad and kids. It's like grandma, abuela, and grandpa, and and mom and dad and the kids, which is actually, and I'm kind of going off on on a
Okay.
tangent, but like um, one of the other things that I found it to be so great about Sunday Friends, and I should mention, I keep saying that because I've only been at Sunday Friends for 2 months now. I'm the new executive director, but one of the things that have impressed me so much is that this is an organization that doesn't like most organizations that I've worked at. It's like, here's what we do. We provide this service. While you need the service, you get the service, and then you're off, and we might not see you again. Sunday Friends is a community. So the services that we provide are fluid in that they are responsive to the needs of the community. So when we do education, the education is not the same every time. It's dependent on what the needs of the community are. For that reason, when we first started, our mission was really to empower families with young children, because our founder, Janice, thought that that was the best way to interrupt the cycle of poverty, is by helping the next generation really have the best chance at success. Well, those families, which we started 26 years ago in 1997, some of those families are still here. But now they're seniors, and now it's also their children's children who are coming to the program. So as I look around and I'm trying to decide, okay, well, how do we expand what we do? How do we expand our impact? Part of it is recognizing that the community has evolved over a 26-year period, and now we're not just serving families with young children. We still are, because a lot of we get new members every day, but we also have a strong contingent of members that have been here for so many years. So now we have our strategy has to evolve to also help them with whatever issues come with being a senior and preparing for retirement or just for life. Some of them are still working because they can't afford to not work. So it's just kind of preparing for older age and what that means.
Yeah, that's great. So let's look at, I love what you're doing. It's because education is so powerful. It is, it really could change lives. What does a Sunday look like? So a family, a Latino family comes in, husband, wife, and their 2 kids. What does it look like? What's that day look like? What services are you providing?
So our community day, which is what we call it, is basically a day where we organize a bunch of different educational stations. And some stations are for children, some stations are for adults. And although we're a staff of 3, we have, I'd say three and a half or so, because we have a couple part-time staff. We essentially set up all these different educational stations. Education is based on essentially health equity. So it could be physical health, emotional health, financial health, eating well. We do STEM education. So we do like STEM for kids. We might do, stations that are about financial education, and it's both. We have ones that are for kids, and we have ones that are for adults. We'll have like certain chats set up in a certain area where like we're going to have a presentation on like it could be financial education, or it could be a presentation on domestic violence. It could be a presentation on healthy eating, diabetes prevention. So a lot of the presentations and what we set up has to do with like what the members are saying that they're grappling with. So like the last last Sunday, we had a meeting where I spent about half an hour with the members, just saying like, tell me what's going on with you guys so that I can understand what kind of programming we need to bring to you. And one of the top concerns which will impact our programming in the future, was people feeling like they needed support and support groups, meaning a place where they could go and talk about like life and the challenges that they're facing. They also talked about living in really impoverished areas of San Jose where they have to contend with drugs and violence and police cars, driving around all the time, and people on visibly using drugs and alcohol, and a school stabbing, at like James Lick High School, which some of our families' kids like saw, and they're like, what do we do about school violence? How do we keep our children safe? So that will then turn into, okay, so we need to bring up and get funding so that we can start doing support groups and just like a coffee hour, like a cafecito in the morning, which is what I think families want to do, just to have a space to talk about things that are happening. And then it'll turn into advocacy support. Like, how do you advocate at the school district? How do you advocate with your school? How do you make sure how do you know what your parents' rights are? How do you know what the rights of your children are? And that they've also mentioned, like, if they have kids who are who have an IEP because they have some disability, how do you advocate in that IEP? So a lot of what we do that's what I mean by fluid, is that we ask the community, what's going on in your life? What are the things that you're having trouble with? And then we say, okay, these are the common themes. That's what we're going to work on this year. So a community day will encompass any one of these things while keeping to like the core principles of what Sunday Friends is about, which is like community, education, empowerment, and advocacy. And I think that's the three of them, but yeah. So
what it's like is, because poverty is the main theme, let's get these people so it could be how to build a resume, how to learn English better if they're just Spanish speaking people, to get jobs.
There might be like an ESL class, which is something that they ask for often. And so just to walk you through to what this would look like, to give you more of a mental picture, we do the event at a school. Right now it's at George Shirakawa Elementary School. So we use essentially their big
gym,
like
auditorium.
Yeah, the auditorium, and then the outside part as well. So, you come in, you check in, both volunteers. We have about, 25 to 50 volunteers every Sunday to support like all of the different activities that are happening. All of the activities are either member led or volunteer led. What my team does is essentially create the activities, provide all the instructions, train the volunteers, train the members, and then make sure that everybody knows what they're doing. You walk in, and every Sunday we'll have some type of health activity. It might be yoga, it might be Zumba, and you'll see signs that say, okay, Zumba is going to be held or yoga is going to be here from 12 to 12:30. This activity is like going to be financial education. The other interesting thing that we do is that families, in order to encourage participation, and also so that family can essentially earn everything that they receive and give back.
Yeah.
Everything has a point system. So like participating in this activity is 2 points, participating in this activity is 1 point. And then, after the day goes, everybody participates in the variety of activities that we have set up. Here's STEM education. And STEM could look like anything from like, oh, we're going to do Legos, and robot Legos is one of the last ones that we did.
Nice.
Or here's we'll host someone from like Second Harvest Food Bank who will bring out foods, and then they're going to cut up do different recipes and things like that, and show the families like how to cook something with whatever they have there. So things like that. And then at the end, people then collect their basic needs supplies. So at every Sunday, after everybody's participated, it's like a 2-hour event. People go and participate at the different stations, whatever they want to participate in. We usually have them like, 10 different stations. You can spend all of your time at one, or you could just kind of, go to all the different ones. They go and they pick up their basic need supplies. So their basic need supplies, Sunday Friends provides. We have everything from like soap, shampoo, baby supplies, diapers, feminine napkins, toilet paper. So we have a stock room that essentially just has everything, every basic need supply that you might need in a home. And families get to just pick whatever they need that week. So we have a website that essentially they go in and say, okay, I want my bag to include X, Y, and Z. So it's a personalized bag. It's not like, oh, hey, here's what we're giving out. I hope you need it. It's very much like, this is exactly what I need. And every member gets their own personalized bag. And then they also collect their bag of groceries for that week.
Right. So poverty leads to food store shortage. I can't think of the word, but and that's what you're doing. You're educating them to be smarter, learn more so they can get out of poverty, but to give them another week of the supplies and the food so that they don't have to stress that next week. Oh, that's so powerful.
So our model is essentially, poverty alleviation. And we start with poverty alleviation, which is, here's whether we're helping financially or we're helping, like we do like rent assistance, or whether we're doing basic need supplies or, whatever our giveaways or food, whatever. Our members essentially estimate that we're saving them like several $100s a month because we're giving them these supplies and these things, and it so allows them to manage whatever they have better. Then we teach them financial education. Then it's like, okay, so whatever you have, learning how to manage it better. And it could be anything from like couponing to like, just doing a budget and opening a bank account, knowing how to access money that's available, that like choosing a bank account that's going to give you some benefits. So we have like a lot of partnerships with like credit unions who focus on serving this particular population. And then we have those services that are meant to support to increase income. So right now we're working on launching a entrepreneurship program where we're helping families. Most of our families are undocumented, and so they don't have the same avenues for getting jobs as a U.S. citizen might have. And so so a lot of what we do, and we're going to be trying to do and launching soon, is an entrepreneurship class where essentially our families will have an idea, we'll help them develop a business plan, and we'll help them figure out where to get funding, market their business, and then support them. And so this is something that we're working, and we're actually having a partnership with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to do that. And sorry, I have my my son who decided to come in and have his fun next to me. So really, when I think about the work that we do, it starts with community, because I think that the most valuable thing that we provide is that community space where people feel like they can lean on someone. Because so imagine if, being in poverty is hard enough, but being in poverty and feeling alone, like you don't have anyone to support and lean on, is even worse. And so we provide that space to lean on. We provide that space for people to feel that they have community. And then we provide poverty alleviation, and then we're providing tools to step out of poverty, and then tools to increase income, and then finally, like tools to increase agency and be able to self-advocate.
I love it. This is great. Now I understand what you're doing even more. I think the audience does, and that's good. Let's do a shout out. Donations are what you're really looking for. So how can they donate? How can they get a hold of you and learn more about Sunday Friends?
So you can find us on our website, and that's the easiest way to donate, is to go to sundayfriends.org. Yes, like you said, we were really hurt by COVID, although we've been in business for 26 years, and we were very healthy pre-COVID. COVID made it so that we had all of our operation was basically in person before. And that was a large draw for how people got involved and how we got income and how people knew about us, was that everything that we did was in person. COVID made us have to go online, so it made us lose that specialness that was Sunday Friends. And in the process, that also meant that we lost a great deal of income that the organization depended on. And so today, even though we are, we've been here for 26 years, I'm coming to this very much like it's a startup space, because we've lost the infrastructure that we once had. And so donations are greatly appreciated, not only so that we can ensure that we're able to continue to provide these services and have an impact in the community, but just so that we can make sure that we're going to be here in a year, because right now the situation is pretty dire. I do have confidence that we'll make it work. We have a very loving and caring community. And so both of members, donors, volunteers, it's a great network. But I can't emphasize enough, the situation we're currently in. I think a year from now, we can pull together and make this work. This will not be the case, and I'll have enough time to be able to turn things around. But right now we're really dependent on people's kindness.
Okay, so this is day one. I'm going to kickstart you. So here's what I'm going to do. You didn't know I was doing this. The first 4 people that reach out to you that mention this podcast, because you can donate anywhere in the world, listeners. Money can come from anywhere. You don't have to live in San Jose. You just happen to be where to be. But as I say, as a servant, this is one way to be a servant, is I'm serving you, but I'm going to give you $20. Go on Amazon, buy what you want. First 4 people. So reach out to Tatiana, mention the podcast, my name or the podcast. She'll send me your email, your contact info. And I just did 5 2 days ago. Sent out 5 Amazon gift cards. I have no problem doing that, because this is important. Poverty is like mental health is a big problem. This is where we talked about before the show. But I'm going to add to that. I'm going to do more. This sounds like the Ronco show. There's more, and there is more. I'm going to donate $50 today from this podcast. I would love for any listeners, especially you local friends of mine, to match or exceed my donation. And if you can't do 50, do 5, whatever it is. Let's help this out. This is a great cause. You don't need to be Latino. I'm not Latino. I'm Italian. It doesn't matter. We're human. That's just what the world calls us. But let's come together as humans and help out Tatiana and Sunday Friends, because you heard what she's doing is incredible. And it's a lot of work. But let's give her some money and let's get poverty shut down here in the next 5 years with the help of Sunday Friends. I want to thank you for being on. No, you're very welcome. Let's get a bunch of money in there. No, you're very welcome.
And you're right. Everything counts. We definitely, and actually, if you can't donate, follow us on Instagram, on our social, share whenever we share what we're doing. That's a great way for you to find out exactly what Sunday Friends is doing, what we're all about. We share videos and pictures and stories of our members, donors, and volunteers. So please reach out. You can reach me at Tatiana at Sunday Friends. So that's an easy one. But also if you go to our website, there's a way to reach me there too. So if you can like and share, that would be awesome. And Steve, you're awesome. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time gifting me some time so that we can get the message out about Sunday Friends. We really appreciate you.
And I thank you for taking the time. And this is a Saturday, so everybody knows. For me and her, this is how important it is. Doesn't matter the day, but I want to get her message out there. With that being said, can you leave my audience a tip that you've learned or something about what you do that they need to hear?
I think that that when we think about poverty, and I've worked in multiple nonprofits, so I think that whatever the work that I've done poverty work for 20 plus years. And I think sometimes donors have this view of what poverty looks like. And so it's like, well, I just want to give you this. Or like, so I have like a lot of people that are like, well, I want to give you like canned foods, or I want to give you like these things. And I think that when people are in poverty, you need to think about like not every situation is the same, and that like there's there's a need to like hear what people are saying that they need and then match that need. Um, and that I think that what we all need is just, you know, to exercise more kindness, and think about that every little bit that we do is important. Yeah, I think that kind of went all over the place, but but I just wanted to say that I think that you know, this work is hard, but it's rewarding. And it's hard because you can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders when you're like seeing the families that you're actually impacting. So like staying up at night and being like, how do I fix this so that, you know, so that these families can get the support that they need. And that's what makes it hard. But it's also so rewarding, because you get to see the impact. And so know that when you're investing in a nonprofit, and supporting a nonprofit, you're supporting, um, you know, people who need the help, but also people who are super passionate about something and about changing something and helping people, and that are dedicating their lives to basically changing the world in their little small place wherever it is in the world. So we're always super appreciative of anybody who can support that.